Larry Bird, the Hick from French Lick, one of the most skilled, toughest, and most mentally dominant players the game has ever seen. A 3-time NBA champion, 3-time MVP, and a legend of the Boston Celtics. But what if I told you that Bird himself believes his career could have been longer if he had just done one thing differently? It wasn't his work ethic, it wasn't his talent, it wasn't even his legendary trash talk. It all came down to one simple mistake: not building core strength and conditioning. And today we're going to break down how this one oversight not only cut short Bird's prime, but also changed the way modern athletes approach longevity in the NBA. We'll look at how Bird trained harder than anyone but not smarter, why his back injuries ultimately robbed him of a longer career, and how modern players like LeBron and Curry avoid the same fate. We'll also look at how Bird's prime, while legendary, was actually shorter than most people realize. Stick around to the end of the video because we'll dive into whether Bird could have been the GOAT if he had just lasted a little longer. Bird wasn't just a great player, he was obsessed with being the best. And back in the 80s, training philosophy was very different from what we see today. There was no load management, no strict focus on recovery, no talk about preserving one's body for the long haul. It was all about grit, toughness, and pushing yourself to the absolute limit. Bird embodied this mentality more than almost anyone. Unlike today's stars who focus on recovery and mobility, Bird had one approach: work harder than everyone else. His routine was absolutely relentless. Running 3 miles just to warm up, riding his bike over 12 miles, sprinting, shooting, and practicing obsessively. But here's where things get interesting. Because for as dominant as Bird was, his approach to training might have been what ended his career so soon. Fast forward to today, and Bird himself has admitted that his biggest regret wasn't training harder, but not training smart enough. He said, and I quote, "The one thing I would have liked to have had was core strength." Now, if you don't know why core strength matters, let's break it down. Your core is the foundation of your movement. It stabilizes your body, supports your lower back, and reduces the wear and tear on your spine. And in Bird's case, his back took an insane amount of punishment. His Celtics teammate Robert Parrish, who played until he was 43, had a completely different approach. Parrish didn't obsess over brutal workouts like Bird did. Instead, he focused on yoga, stretching, and breathing exercises. Bird, on the other hand, he thought the harder he worked, the better he'd be. But that mindset eventually caught up with him. By the late 1980s, Bird's body started breaking down, and his back problems became his biggest enemy. The injuries piled up, but instead of slowing down, Bird played through them. And not just minor injuries, serious career-altering pain. He had bone spurs, Achilles issues, and ultimately chronic back pain that would derail his career.
He had lost the structural stability in his spine, so it would slip into abnormal positions to try and lock itself to get an artificial stability. That's like getting your finger stuck in a door and somebody's still pushing on the door. So what we had to do was unlock his spine, realign it, do techniques that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours, that type of thing, and then he'd go play basketball.
In 1985, Bird started feeling the effects of his back pain. That's when everything really changed. But rather than adjusting his workouts or cutting down on his physical toll, Bird kept pushing himself.
Every time I would play, I was wondering if I was going to be in a wheelchair. Was I ever going to be able to, walk on the beach or hold my kids? I probably should have retired in 88, 89. But it's that competition. Maybe one more chance, maybe Magic could get together in the finals. But it never happened.
By 1988, things got even worse. He had to undergo surgery on both Achilles tendons. After surgery, most players would consider resting more. But in Bird's case, he came back just as aggressive, maybe even more so. And that's where the trouble really began. Now let's ask the big question. If Bird had focused on core strength and modern recovery techniques, could he have played longer? Think about it. Today we see players like LeBron James playing at 40 years old, investing millions in his body every year. Steph Curry using mobility training and recovery science. And Kevin Durant coming back from major injuries due to smarter training methods. Bird didn't have those tools, but what if he did? Could he have played until he was 40? It's not crazy to think so. If Parrish played until 43 and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar lasted until 42, why not Bird? Let's look at the numbers. Bird entered the league in 1979. He peaked from roughly 1984 to 1986, back-to-back MVPs, dominant finals performances. By 1988, injuries were taking over. By 1992, he was done. That's only about 7 to 8 elite years. Compare that to someone like LeBron James, 20 plus years of dominance, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, nearly 2 decades of excellence. Even someone like Tim Duncan, 18 years of high-level play, even as a role player towards the end. Bird's prime was cut in half because his body broke down too soon. Look, at the end of the day, Bird's career is still legendary. His impact on the game is undeniable, but his story is also a cautionary tale. Today's players have access to science, recovery techniques, and smarter training philosophies, and many of them will extend their careers far beyond what Bird was able to do. If there's one lesson from Bird's career, it's this: hard work alone isn't enough. You have to work smart as well. Because no matter how great you are, if your body gives out, the game moves on without you. So what do you guys think? Could Larry Bird have lasted another 5 to 6 years with modern training? Could we be talking about him in the GOAT conversation alongside Jordan and LeBron? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more upcoming videos and NBA content. My name is Damian Peters, this is Basketball Network. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.